Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm doing a preview of Dusk Runners, an upcoming cooperative campaign-based game. And as always, I accept no money from publishers. I just want to show off the game and help you make an informed decision. And if you like the content on the One Stop Co-op Shop, consider supporting us through Patreon. You get early access to our videos and exclusive videos every month you can't see anywhere else. You can also listen to our weekly podcast for reviews and design discussions, or join the conversation and say hi on our Discord. So far I've only been able to play through the tutorial once. I'm going to play through it again here. I did want to play through a later mission, and they sent me the rules, but they were in an early draft, and I didn't have the time that I would have needed to kind of figure them all out. So I wish I could show you kind of a more full picture of the game, because you'll see by the time the tutorial ends, kind of everything is finally clicking, but hopefully it still helps you figure out kind of what's going on with the game. So as far as I can tell, again, I've only played a little bit, this is a campaign game, but it's fairly open world. You'll be walking around these locations, which in the tutorial is a set thing, but otherwise you'll draw these cards to determine what the initial placement looks like. And you'll be going on these adventures called challenges and doing these quests with them, but the quests themselves are optional. One of the challenges I was going to try out was to rescue some inhabitants of this area, but I didn't have to rescue them. I could have just gone into the area and left, but completing those objectives is what's going to let you level up your cards, because the game has kind of a Slay the Spire-ish thing where each card has a better side on the back. And doing those challenges and exploring the land is also how you'll get secret cards. Many of them will be pieces of inventory. And basically you're trying to gear up to take on this giant shadow boss that's hunting you, and you're supposed to fight him throughout the campaign multiple times, each time trying to take down one of his parts or find out secrets about him. It reminds me a little bit of in Aeon Trespass Odyssey, the guy that's hunting you in Act 1, for any of you that know that game. But as far as I can tell, that's sort of the concept of the campaign, that you are wandering around, doing these challenges, picking up items, fighting the boss when you can, and trying to eventually defeat him before time runs out, because you do have these corruption cards that act like a timer for each of your challenges, or before you all die, I guess. But anyway, let's jump into the tutorial and show you kind of how things are working. So first of all, the prototype, just to show you, has these really cool interlocking pieces that hold the location cards on them, that hold the secret card stashed underneath like this. And yeah, they, at least in the prototype, link together quite smoothly. And we start on this location, which is just some random hills. I'll tell you what that 4 muscle symbol means there in a second. And whenever your characters move into a location, you can see all of the adjacent locations. Additionally, we get to reveal the secret card of any place we go into. And you're going to see a ton of this placeholder art. They have a very low number of art pieces. It looks like a crazy amount of art, but they said they aren't going to use AI, since I always ask. And the main thing for this card is here on the bottom. We'll zoom in there. We've got the name of it, the Jagged Pipe. It's got a bunch of types, loot, item, primitive weapon. That little play icon to the right means that it's in the starter set, because you will unlock more cards as things goes along. And this is how you use it as your action. That's the hourglass symbol, and exhausting it, that's the tapping symbol. I get to make a strength-based melee attack that does +1 blood drop, +1 damage if I'm successful. And I can choose to throw it away permanently, that's the little cross-out symbol, to get another damage, 3 damage total if successful. But to actually pick this up, we have to interact with the location, which is where that 4 strength thing comes in. And we also start out with a random draw of enemies, 1 for each of us. I'm controlling 2 characters, by the way. Oh, this first one would shuffle all the tokens back into the bag. Because I drew it first, it literally does nothing. That was a nice start. And the second one is an enemy, but all the enemies are going to start out stunned for the tutorial, so they're not going to be chasing you around and stuff. They are much more of a threat later on, as you will see. Now, coming around to my characters, like I said, I've got 2 of them. I've got Zenith, following the way of the blade, and Lotus, following the way of the wilderness, although I think in the final game, you can freely mix characters and, classes or ways. Each character on their turn is going to have 1 action and 1 free adjacent movement, although you could use a sprint action as your free action to move. And after you do your move and your action and any other free things you want to do, then you have to draw a token from the threat bag, which is those monsters you saw earlier. Then you pass it to the next player. So that's generally how turns go. Move, action, threat, move on. And the tutorial gives us a little bit of flavor text and then a goal for this section to move on to the next stage. The sun has barely begun to set and you are setting up camp when a terrifying roar makes itself heard from the forest to the west. You immediately think of the creature whose traces and presence have been troubling you for the last weeks. You lingered too long. You must flee looking for a more defensible position, and are probably not the only ones of his zone to do the same. I'm sorry, speaking of narrative, I missed the opening narrative. It kind of explains what's going on. In the world of Dusk Runners, the ancestors' great civilization fell to ruin in a cataclysm that broke the planet itself. Now the night slowly crawls westward, and years can pass between sunrises. In the fading light, monstrous creatures, twisted by the lingering corruption, hunt for prey. But dusk also reveals wonders. Ancient technologies flicker back to life, waiting to be claimed. Technologies that might change the world. If the ancients broke the world, their knowledge might be able to fix it. You are a Dusk Runner, a scavenger, a survivor, an explorer of Twilight. As a Dusk Runner, you know very well there is something out there, something that is more than just a monster, a darkness that stalks anyone who dares defy the night. Fun stuff. Makes you think of, Pitch Black, the Vin Diesel movie, the first Riddick movie where the planet alternated between day and night. Okay, it says, my goal in this state is to reveal as many possible locations in one turn each. Okay, so we're just going to go and take one turn. All right, so we'll have Zenith go first. We'll move, and then I guess move again. So we'll have him go south into the hills, which reveals the Nightling Cave. When revealed, reveal a token from the threat bag. If it's an enemy, spawn it. Otherwise, put it back in the threat bag. It's another one of these Thrashers. Again, we'll get to them later. And then he'll move again, because right now they're not doing much. And we got more hills and a wind-blown cliff, which has a triggered ability that can push people from the cliff with the wind, but that, again, is not going to come into play for now. Okay, and then I draw a token. I get another monster. But unlike at the beginning of the game, they don't spawn immediately. Instead, they go on this little spawn track, which is varied by number of Dusk Runners. The first one's going to go here, which does nothing. Each additional one is going to go in one of these spots with teeth. Now, in the tutorial, at first, that won't do anything, but eventually that will be when enemies activate. So in 2 players, you get some placements with that activation. And then when you actually get to the end, you're going to spawn 2 enemies. The one that landed on the final spot and a different type. We'll get to that when it happens. But for now, that first enemy draw didn't really do anything. Okay, then we've got Lotus, Way of the Wilderness, with her cute little fox friend. She'll move and sprint too. This is not really letting us do anything else right now. All right, so we've got a forest and some plains. And then, what the hey, she'll go north and discover more plains. Oh, and whoops, I should have been revealing the secrets as I went through all these places. So we've got a bludgeon weapon there, an old steel hatchet, that sounds a little better, and a crafting plan. Whoops, I guess I would have gone through the hills too. Observing Hermit, which is actually a little bit of a quest. And then she's got to draw another one of these guys on the track. Okay, that brings us to stage 2. From the cover of the rocks, you see several nightlings prowling the area. You know that the setting sun is the only thing holding them back. They're blocking your path back to camp, so you must use what you can find around here to make up for items left behind in the scramble. So now we're going to get secret cards, and this is where we actually get into kind of the core mechanics of the game. So as an action, you can salvage now instead of just running a second time. And what you do is you do a test. You'll see how that works in a second. It's very 7th Continent, 7th Citadel-esque, as I will show. And you're trying to beat the difficulty of the location, that 2 muscle or 3 hand thing that you saw earlier. And yeah, they explain what focus is, which is an eyeball symbol that some things are going to give you, basically to turn something into a wild. And then if somebody's in the same space as you, they can assist. All right, so let's start with Zenith. I want to get this Hermit going. I think that's fun, because he's like a little quest again. So I'm going to move here for my free move. Then for my action, I will try to scavenge. I need to get 2 muscles. So here's where the 7th Continent-esque thing comes in. I'm going to decide how many cards I want to flip, and I'm allowed to look through my deck, by the way, and see what the distribution is at any time, and then just reshuffle it. So here you might see, I'm looking at the icons in the upper left here. My dude is muscly. Every single card in his entire deck has at least 1 muscle, and many of them have 2. And I decide how many cards to spend because, as you're going to see in a moment, the more cards you spend, the faster you have to rest, which will force you to draw these dusk and then these night cards that make bad things happen. So it's kind of like your level of exertion is speeding up the advance of darkness. Now, there are many skills and things that can help with tests, and they give each of us one at the beginning of this stage, which is this card called Beginner's Luck. It's going to go on our player board. And at the bottom here, it's got an exhaust effect that'll let us do an eyeball, or I should say an open eye, which lets us, if there is a closed eye on a card that we flipped, turn it into an open eye, which is then a wild. It can be any stat we need it to be. So if I drew this card for my 2 muscle that I need for the location, but if I use Beginner's Luck, I could turn the eyeball open, and I'd have the 2 I need. And for now, this is going on our nature area. Eventually, after the tutorial, we'll get some little class cards here that'll give us ongoing powers and things, but for now, that's it. All right, so I'm just going to flip 2 cards and make it an obvious success. And I got 3 muscle, more than I needed. which means I seize the Observing Hermit. Now, usually this would just put it into your play area and you'd like have the weapon to use or whatever. But this one says, when seized, attach this card to its location. And then as a future action, that's what the red symbol is, if attached to a location, perform a brain test. That's the thing where we're the worst at. With 4 difficulty. If successful, seize any secret card and detach this card and put it in your play area, which then fulfills an objective. And I don't have this to show you right now, but they have sent me like an early Google Doc version of this. There will be an objective book where when you finish off objectives at the end of the challenge, at the end of the session, you'll read like a little narrative text about what the hermit tells you, and we'll probably get some kind of level up or something. But for now, he's just hanging out attached to the hills. That's a future action. And 4 brain... Geez. Yeah, I've got 4 brain total if I drew my entire deck, although clearly the beginner's luck card could help with that. Is Lotus better? Ooh, Lotus is way better. Most of her cards have a brain, so maybe I'll try to have her come that way. All right, so that was the end of Zenit's turn. And it took a little bit longer because I was explaining things. We are close to enemies swarming, although, again, it's not going to do too much yet. And then I do want to head down towards the Hermit. I guess this would be the fastest way. Right now, monsters are not doing anything to stop us. And sure, I'll have her try to scavenge... Oh, wait, that's 3 muscle? Yeah! Wow. Yeah, muscle is her worst. She has a single card with a muscle on it. You know what? She'll use her action to move again. That's fine. And she'll draw another friend. All right, now Beefcake Boy over here, he'll go here and try to grab this Jagged Pipe for 4 strength. And let's draw 3 cards. I bet that'll be enough. Especially with our beginner's luck. Yep, we got 5 muscles, and we would have had an eyeball. So now he's got the Jagged Pipe equipped. And I should note for this one, you'll see that it has like the stat stuff in the corner. This becomes a card in his deck now. So he sleeves it, he puts it in his play area immediately, so he's ready to fight with it. And actually, I was wrong. This is not trashing. This means putting it in your discard pile. And then if you can play the Jagged Pipe again, you can do bonus damage again. Now, it does bring him down to 5 cards, and this part of the play is going to end when I run out of cards. We're just trying to get as many things as we can before that. All right, but... Oh! Haha, we got lucky. So this one would send all tokens back to the bag, and it also triggers every lightning bolt ability, which right now is just the wind-blown cliff that would move somebody from the cliff to somewhere else. But theoretically, in later stuff, there would be a lot of lightning bolt triggered abilities coming out. But that was great, because now we delay the swarm one. All right, let's go. She's coming down here to hang out with Hermit Boy, and... yeah, pretty much, like, all but 1 card has a brain, and she needs a 4, so I'll just draw 4 cards. She has the beginner's luck to help out. Oh, and geez, she needs it, because she got 1, 2, 3 brains, but none here. She does have a closed eye, so she'll tap beginner's luck to make it a 4th. Which means, first of all, she gets to seize any secret card. Doesn't even say, like, one that's been revealed. So, I don't know. Let's grab this random one over. Well, let's try to find one of the hardest locations. Yeah, actually, this old steel hatchet, although it's strength-based and she's not good at strength. Is there anything that she's good at? I was going to say the hatchet's a good one because it's a 4 brain to pick up. But let's try this one instead. Ooh, this was very lucky. She got a makeshift bow, which is a hand-based or dexterity-based weapon, and she's really good at that. I think you can trade cards in your play area, like if he had gotten the bow instead of her, but I'm not sure yet. All right, and the Hermit says, put this in my play area, although I'm not going to sleeve it because it's not really a regular card. And that means that I'll complete the objective at the end, although I don't have the text to read to tell you what it does. I'm sure it's cool. All right, I'm sure we're going to... Yep. So we're swarming. Let's tell you what happens with this. So first, I spawn this guy. And I have to choose an adjacent location that is emptiest. I'm not sure if that means just other enemies. I think so, so it does go on my friend there. And then the player before me, in this case, our friend Zenit, he spawns the most recent enemy token that was not the same type. So we just got a Gloom Shell. He's going to spawn a Spit Beast. And no, let's put it over here on the forest. Then the rest of these guys all get discarded until we draw that Lightning Bolt token from the bag again to put them all back in there. So even though we filled 5 tokens worth, we only got 2, at least for 2 Dusk Runners. All right, now we're back to Zenit. And now let's go and get this Bludgeon. We'll flip, only 2 cards should be fine. We still got beginner's luck. Hey, it worked out. 2 strength plus the beginner's luck gets us to the 3 we need. And yeah, we're clearly playing to our strengths, aren't I? Because he's definitely getting stronger and stronger with these cards for his deck. Okay, and he draws... Oh, this is actually a test. He has to pass a 2 brain test immediately. Otherwise, he cannot use any card powers on his next turn. I don't think I'm going to be worried about that anyway, so we'll just fail it on purpose, which he can do. Okay, now she'll go over here. She's very good at pointing. That's basically her equivalent to strength. Yeah, she's got 1 of each. Well, I guess she's kind of balanced between pointing or dexterity. Now, she does not have her lucky, so yeah, we'll flip 3. We got 4. So she's got Crafting Plan. It says, seize a revealed item loot card under any location. Unsleeve this card and put it under the chosen location revealed. And that little red icon there, if it does not have an hourglass symbol in it, means it's basically a free action I can take on any one of my turns, so I can wait until we find like a really awesome secret for her, and then use the crafting plan. All right, and she gets, all tokens revealed. But nobody's on the Windblown Cliff. But it means we're still not filling up the spawn board. Now we're coming back to Zenith's turn, and he's down to 3 cards. It's going to be tough for him to do much, so let's go ahead and move forward to stage 3. So it says, you've been at this for a while now. You need rest. However, the Looming Nightlings are warning you to pull yourself together quickly. All right, we're each going to sleeve 2 prepare cards. I'll show you those in a second. Okay, so to talk you through a few things, in the upper left, of course, you got the skill icons. At the top is what's called an after draw effect, that white bar. In this case, it says play 1 drawn card. It can be this one. This is, again, a little bit like 7th Continent, if you've seen that game, where like the cards you play can also become your inventory. So as an example, let's say I discarded my Jagged Pipe to bash somebody to death, and then put it in my discard pile, and drew it later on. If I drew it in the same turn that I drew this prepare, I could use this after drawn ability to put the Jagged Pipe back into play. So you can't like automatically get things from your deck into your inventory, but there are ways to make it happen. Okay, looking back at the prepare card, at the bottom right, that sort of like chevron pointing up shows that this is the unupgraded side. If I flipped it over, it would have 2 chevrons to show it was upgraded. And it's got a green discard ability to focus. Remember, that's what opens up an eyeball to get the wild. That is if I got this in my play area, because again, look at the white at the top. It says play 1 drawn card can be this one, so I can play a prepare, and then on a future test, I can discard it to both do a focus, but also to play one of the drawn cards from that test. Again, if I drew like my Jagged Pipe or something. Hopefully that all makes sense. Anyway, those are going into my discard pile, which is about to become my draw pile, because let's talk about the rest action. All right, so Zenith, let's get over to here. We haven't revealed this far upper left location. It's the Unexplored Wilds. Oh, objective. Don't have a secret under this location. So we could go there and get that thing, although it's for brain, not good for Zenith. But now as his action, he's going to rest. Okay, so you've got rest and short rest, Gloomhaven vibes here. Rest is your action. A short rest is not your action, but it's less effective. For either of them, you're going to draw the top of the Darkness deck, which again is going to make negative stuff happen. But then, at least for a full rest, you untap all of your cards, so like our beginner's luck that have been used, and you shuffle your discard back into your deck, which means that you get to, take actions again, because all of your skill tests are using your cards. So it's not quite the same as 7th Continent, 7th Citadel. 7th Continent, you had to eat food to get your energy back. 7th Citadel, you have to take damage. Here, you're just kind of making more bad things happen. All right, so Zen's going to rest. We start out with 1 nicer Dusk card on top of the deck for each player, then all the rest will be the nastier Night cards. What have we got? Swift Hunters. Enemies activated during your turn have an extra move in their move step. Okay, so enemies can chase me down more easily. That's fine. That goes right in my play area. And again, I'm getting beginner's luck, and I am getting all my energy back, ready to do some more stuff. Okay, then Zenith's token draw. Okay, we are starting to get some monsters going on. Lotus is next. I guess she'll head up towards that Unexplored Wilds objective. That'd be fun. So I'll have her double move. Let's see if we get any fun things to use with our crafting plan. Okay, this is a snap trap. If I seize it, I get to attach it to a card within 1 distance and do 2 damage automatically when an enemy moves into it. And then I recycle it. That's what that little symbol means, which means that it returns it to its original deck, in this case, the generic secret deck. That is pretty cool, but I can use the crafting plan from anywhere, so no need for me to decide if I'm going to take that yet. Instead, I'm going to go up towards the Unexplored... Well, actually, how many cards does she have left? I guess she'll rest too. She's only got 3 cards, which would not be enough probably without her beginner's luck to get that brain. Oh, sorry, you can't see it. It's a 4 brain. Oh, wait, hold on. She can do the 4 brain without resting because her crafting plan will let her take the secret for free. I like that. I'm still going to have her rest, and then she can like double move next turn. So she gets her own Dusk card. Oh, this one sucks. Sleeve this card and put it among your discarded cards, and it becomes a event when I draw it. So that's what that exclamation point is. So when I draw it during a test, I have to exhaust one of my cards that has an exhaust ability, or spend a resource for one of my cards, or discard one of the cards in my play area. Yeah, in the course of the tutorial, I'm not sure how to get rid of these. This is just like a negative thing for now. But I guess we'll find out. Either way, it's a problem for future Mike. Or no, I guess it kind of isn't, because I'm shuffling it in immediately, aren't I? Yeah, the worst thing is that'll be a card that I've drawn for a test that'll give me 0 icons, so it's also going to mess up my calculus of how well I can do on tests. Okay, and we draw another cow. I know they're thrashers, but cow is what they look like to me. All right, coming back around to our rested Zenith's turn, we go into stage 4, Slaying. Dusk is approaching. Nightlings begin to stir. Still sluggish from their long slumber, they are gathering. If you can cut them down now before they fully wake, you'll face far fewer to when the sun finally disappears. Okay, so now we have to kill all enemies on the unexplored wilds. Oh, which is where I was going anyway. All right, each of us gets our weapon, like our starting weapon, into play for free. Looking at the hunting bow, I unsleeved it to get rid of the glare. It's going to start with 2 cubes. That's what that symbol on the left is. And to use it, I have to spend an action and a cube. That's why they're in the red. And I would do a dexterity-based attack. I would get +1 dexterity for free to the test. That's what that plus hand means. So like if I needed a 3 to hit the guy, I would only need to draw 2 because I'd have 1 for free. And I get to do +1 damage. You always do 1 automatically, so this would be 2 damage total if successful. Whereas Zenith has a bloodthirsty axe. He just does an action. It starts with 1 cube. He does an action as a strength-based test. He gets +1 wild, or, eye-opening, because you have to have a closed eye for it to work. He can spend that cube to do +1 damage if the test is successful. You do get to see, by the way, if the test works before you decide to spend the cube. And if he kills somebody with his axe, he gets a cube back, max 2. Pretty awesome. I'm not sure what that bottom blue thing is. That might be a defensive ability. I'm not sure if the tutorial explains that. All right, it says for 2 players, we need to put 2 enemies on the unexplored wilds. So there we go. 1 spit beast and 1 gloom shell. Now, I will note they're still stunned, which means you'll see their stats actually change. Defense is what you need to reach in your skill test to hit them, and hearts is how much damage you need to deal. Again, every attack naturally does 1 damage, but then if you use like your powers and stuff, you can deal more. Okay, so this guy's a 4-1, and the spit beast is a 2-2. All right, so Zenith's definitely going to go in there and murder somebody. And I think I'll actually have him use his jagged pipe on the Spit Beast. He's getting +1 strength automatically, and he gets +1 bleeding automatically. I do have to exhaust it, which means that I can't use it again until I rest, but that's fine. And with +1 strength automatically, I think 1 is enough. What? I guess I got to use my beginner's luck. But hey, I can play this card at least. So I'm using beginner's luck to turn that eyeball into an open one, plus the 1 strength I got automatically. That matches the Spit Beast defense. The Jagged Pipe got +1 damage automatically, so that guy is defeated. And again, I've now put the prepare card into my play area for a future boost later. Oh, and I think we were in here. There's fruits here, but let's see what the secret is on the wild. A lure, okay. All right, Zenith still has to draw a token. He gets another guy on the spawn board. Okay, now Lotus is going to use her move. And then I guess she doesn't have to use her action to run right into the place. Let's get some fruit. She'll draw 3 cards. Oh, wow. So she gets her prepare. Ooh, she could play a shock whip. Has all these like complicated things. Or she can get improvisation. I'll just be simple and take the prepare card itself because I want to read all his abilities right now. But I did get 3 hand, so I also get some fruit. So I can discard it during a test. And I get to take 1 of the cards I drew and put it on top of my deck so I know that I'll draw it again next time. Or I can discard it as a free action to choose a target within 1 distance and move it. So like throw some food for somebody to follow. But there's also a mechanic where you can eat food to not have negative things happen to you after each session. Now, you do have some rations that you start with, but something like this would be nice too. Okay, and she draws... Oh, she has to do a 2 brain check if she can't use cards. Actually, this time I don't want that to happen, so let's draw 2 cards. Got 2 brains, good to go. Well, I was going to have her help Zenith fight, but he can just bloodthirsty axe this guy. So he's going to attack without using a cube, since he only needs to do 1 damage. He gets +1 open eye, needs to get 4 strength. And if he kills the guy, he'll get a 2nd cube. It's max, so I can really do a lot of damage. Let's draw, I guess, 4 cards. I got my other prepare, but I got 4 strength. So... preemptive strike, backup blade. I mean, again, I would get to know my deck, but for now, just prepare another prepare to not have to think that hard. But that is enough, so I do kill this guy, and I get another cube on my axe. which means we've completed stage 4. All right, those enemies have been so nice this entire time. Let's finally get them activating. Stage 5, Nightling attack. It's getting darker, and from the shadows, hulking silhouettes rise. Thrashers appear and ambush your team. If you want any hope of safety, you'll have to clear the still dazed monsters before they fully awaken. The mighty Thrashers hurl an avalanche of boulders toward you. And before the boulder hits, we each get a defensive item into play for free. This is all just tutorial stuff. We'd have to actually play these with repair cards and such. The scavenger kit will give me 1 ignorance of a scratch. You'll see this when you see enemy attacks in a second. You can tap it to get 2 more, or you can discard it and have to play it again later to block a blood drop, an actual wound, as you'll see. Then what's cool is if it's tapped from blocking stuff, I can refresh it. That's that green icon in the bottom left to gain a focus on a salvage test. Okay, then the Drudger's Vest is a better, just pure defensive item. Although it doesn't give anything for free, but it can tap to block a wound result, and it can discard itself to block one. We also get to flip Beginner's Luck to this new side where you can tap it for a defensive check to get +2 blocking of scratches. So let's see how the attack works. The boulder is doing 2 to each of us. We roll these, and you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 scratches. And each die is a potential wound being dealt. I'll say that again. Each die is a potential wound being dealt. So if I get attacked by 4 scratches and I block 2 of them, it doesn't actually do anything because now the die has become a wound. And the blood drops can only be blocked by those full blood drop blocking effects like the Drudger Vest. So those are the worst ones. But let's go ahead and see how this works. So Zenit rolls 2 dice and he got a 3 and a 4. And blood drop blocking can block any die. It's kind of like the wild. There is a blank, just 1 blank side as well. So he'll go ahead and tap his Drudger Vest and discard it to block both of those. Okay, and then how about Lotus? Okay. Oh, she can do this. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 claw marks blocked. And I think you can split it between dice, so that's enough to block all of them. But just to show you what would happen if something wasn't blocked, you would take the topmost card from your discard pile and put it over here in your damage area. But it doesn't really do anything for now, but I think it's at the end of the challenge, you check how many damage you have, and then you draw some injury cards, and they'll have like a threshold, and if your damage is high enough for the threshold, you'll actually gain the injury. So the fewer damage cards you get, the less likely you are to discover you have a gaping stomach wound later on in the game or something. Okay, now I'm about to fight some Thrashers, and it says I have to have exactly 1 on the board, so I'll get rid of this one that's super far away, so I just have the one that's near us. Oh, I think I forgot to draw a token at the end of Zenit's turn. It would have been that, or he couldn't move. Sure, I'll flip 2 cards. That should be enough. Oh, I guess I got to use one of my prepare cards to open up an eye. That also means I can use one of the cards from here. Meat Shield would let me block. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Oh, I think I forgot this before, but look, the makeshift bow she picked up before says that on a successful salvage, she also gets to add a shot to her bow, max 2. So yeah, she should be at 2. It started with 1. All right, she's not going to be able to defeat this guy by herself. She's only going to be able to hit him for 2 damage. And actually, let's go ahead and use the makeshift bow because it can get ammo back. And it gives her a free eyeball. So I guess she'll just flip 1 card. Okay, she got 3. 1, 2 plus the eyeball. And she does 2 damage to the guy. And actually, I was wrong. They're not activating yet. At least I don't think so. Okay, we get a spitter, but he's not spawning yet, although he's about to. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and say she threw some fruit to move this guy over here. I just want him to be able to finish it off. So he'll walk in, and let's bludgeon it to death. He doesn't even need to flip anything because he's got +1, and he's doing 1 damage. Boom. All right, now we finally get to enemies activating. So it says, Nightlings awake. You've just taken out the Thrashers when you hear movement behind you. Nightlings now know that you are here. The next wave of monsters won't be so easy. You must hold your ground. Okay, and they say we flip the enemy type with the most tokens. We'll go ahead and flip them to their awake side. But now when other enemies activate, they'll get flipped if they're stunned. And all the newly spawning guys will, of course, be flipped. All right, and to progress to the next part of the stage, we got to defeat at least 2 guys. So what the hey, let's have her run in. And she'll use her makeshift bow again. She's got to get 4, and she's got 1 eyeball. So 3 should be okay. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus the open eye 5. So that takes him out. And now, don't think I forgot about it. Remember that unexplored wilds that I wanted to complete an objective for? I'm going to use my crafting plan to seize any revealed loot item, which will be the lore that was over there. So I'm going to put the crafting plan in the unexplored... Oh, wait, the crafting plan goes in the unexplored wilds. I'm still doing it, because I don't even have the book to read the objective text. Okay, then I'm going to put down the lore, I can attach this to my location. It becomes a preferred prey, so when this guy attacks he's going to attack the lore instead of me. And it's got 3 defense and 2 hearts. I'll show you how that works in a second and how it would have worked if he had attacked me instead. Oh, wait, he's not going to attack. Oh, yes, he is. Yes, because you'll see that it's a row, a teeth symbol, and then a spawn. So first, we're going to have people activate. So what happens is because he went on the mouth, the teeth, all enemies of this type, all gloom shells will activate, but I just killed the only one. Then we'll spawn, but that's how activations works. You're never 100% sure who's going to activate. Oh, but gloom shells are annoying to kill. Look, if they're not already stunned, they get stunned instead of taking damage. I was going to say, why are they so weak? It's because you got to attack them twice. Whereas a spit beast, can do ranged attacks. That makes sense. Well, either way, with that being the case, so she has to put the gloom shell. She'll put it south of her so we can run that way. And we'll put the Spit Beast here for Zenith so he can run in and kill it. But they don't activate yet, they just spawn. So now Zenith will run in and fall over. And he'll go and use his bloodthirsty axe. He gets +1 eyeball. He'll spend a cube if he succeeds to do the 2 damage, which will kill the guy and get him the cube back. And, I mean, whatever, we're about to leave the mission, so, way too much. It's 5, I think. So that guy be dead. And before we see what's happening, we're gonna draw... return all tokens to the bag. And actually, I realized they would not have activated anyway. Well, I'll show you what an attack looks like in a second, because we're about to leave. Because now we're in Stage 7, Escape. You hear the mighty roar again, much closer this time. Your struggle seems hopeless. Nightlings just never stop coming. Your only chance is to escape. The only question is in which direction to flee. So we can go through the northwest, west, or southwest. And this will determine what our next challenge is, what our next little quest. So we could go on a rescue operation, we could go examine a crashed camp, we could go attack the Stalker, the main boss, to have our first fight with him. And it tells you what different components will be in there, and then if you get to them, you'll have objectives. So it's not so much like a catered mission, more just like something you can do while exploring your next thing. Like if I did the rescue mission, there would be 4 lost travelers mixed in with secret cards, but I don't have to rescue them all. If I do, I will get cool bonuses and level up my cards and stuff, but I could just run into the next area and do something else entirely. But anyway, yeah, all we would have to do is like move off here, which would be pretty easy to do, and my kids are going a little bit crazy. So let's pause the video there and just show you how enemy attacks would work. So let's say that the spitter attacked Lore or me. So they would do a range attack or a melee attack. It tells you which dice to roll. They can roll a white one, which gives them a special action, in this case, retreating one. And you already saw how defense works, so let's say they did that. She would have to... I guess she doesn't have her armor anymore, so she would just take a wound or a damage card, and then the guy would run away. If they're attacking one of our, allies or something instead, though, each claw reduces the shield by 1. If it gets to 0, they take a wound. And then each additional die plus each wound result does 1 damage automatically. So if they had rolled... this, I guess, that would have reduced the shield to 3. That's 1 wound. And another wound, they would have defeated the lore in 1 attack. But yeah, we just run away and we would get to try a new challenge. So let me go deal with my kids going crazy. And then I will come back to give you some of my impressions so far from the tutorial. All right, I am back. And what do I think of Dusk Runners so far? Well, I'm going to say, first of all, that it's a little bit tough to tell for sure because, as you can see, there's still a lot of stuff that I have not gotten to play. There's tons and tons of cards in the prototype, but again, they were kind of pushing us toward the learn to play and not extended play beyond that. But it seems like a pretty straightforward game in terms of core mechanics, moving around, taking actions, scavenging, and then the core skill test system is pretty straightforward. So I appreciate all of that. It also seems like enemies will be an appreciable threat, like moving around and attacking you sometimes, but not entirely predictably because of how the swarm activation works. You didn't really get to see that in the tutorial because they activated so late. But the idea of that seems pretty interesting. Now, I personally really like this core action system and test system. But to be fair, I'm also a fan of 7th Continent and 7th Citadel, so I'm already into these things where you kind of decide how much you want to tire yourself out, and you can pretty much guarantee success if you're willing to spend enough. But I will say, compared to Continent and Citadel, this is a more forgiving thing where you just have to draw one of these negative cards and suffer through whatever it's doing. It's another one that would get shuffled into your deck. Maybe these are pretty bad. And also, I'm not sure when these go away. If they go away after a challenge, that's not too big of a deal. But yeah, I think the idea of having these cards that you're adding to your deck that are both changing your stats for tests, but also with things like the prepare card, allowing you to play them for like this long arm that helps you scavenge and deals damage when you scavenge, or burrow bells, or a scoped rifle. Gosh, there's just like tons of stuff going on here. Might be too much stuff because there is a little bit of like word and icon salad on some of these things. But to be fair, every single time that I actually look at one of them carefully, it all makes sense. I just think it can be a little bit intimidating when you're looking at a card. The nice thing is then the fact that you usually don't have very many cards in play. You know, I guess when you draw a prepare, then you have to pay attention to what these like 3 cards you drew do. But otherwise, you can just pay attention to the icons and ignore the cool powers on your cards until they come into mattering. So yes, I think this is probably the best part of the system for me. I think there's a lot of cool variety here and like the cards you can add to your deck and how you can level up. And again, the idea that you can flip these over and increase not only the icons in the upper left, but also the special powers they give you. That's quite exciting. The part of the game that I'm much less sure about, at least for my taste, is the actual exploration and kind of the campaign structure. Because I, if y'all have watched my videos, am very much a like narrative, kind of like hold your hand, specific objectives kind of person. Like now you go to this area, now you do this kind of thing. That's one reason I liked 7th Citadel so much more than 7th Continent. But I think the objectives, the challenges in each area will kind of give me that. Like again, you don't have to rescue the 4 lost travelers, but if you do, that's going to get you the most leveling up, going to improve your deck and your powers most appreciably. So that would mean that in that scenario, I'd be running around and trying to find those guys and trying to grab them, and then each of them has like a little additional quest you have to complete once you've found them. So I think that combined with dealing with enemies is going to be fun. But yeah, so far for my play, I would compare this game most to something like Maximum Apocalypse. For those who have played that one, you know, sort of an open worldish exploration post-apocalyptic game too, combined with 7th Continent or 7th Citadel because of this kind of deck upgrading and deck-based like effort system for tests. And I think both of those games are fun, so I think this one could be fun as well. And while it does seem like a more kind of open world structure as you wander around doing challenges, the fact that there's tons of variety, and again, just an insane number of cards and challenges in the decks that they sent, seems like it's going to make the game have a lot more replay than a more linear narrative-based campaign game. And I'm very interested to see what battling this bad boy looks like. But for now, I'll leave it because I don't have much else to say. I've only gotten to play a very small part of the game. But I hope this is useful as y'all go and look at the game page yourselves and see if it appeals to you. So thanks for watching, everybody, and a special thank you to our biggest Patreon supporters, J. William F., Steve Wren, KCW, Andrew R., and Chris C. We'll see you at the next stop.